Lives Matter is all about black votes. They did the same thing in 2016. Black lives don't matter to Black Lives Matter. There are 9.2 million slaves in Africa right now, most of them black. And that's including child soldiers, forced prostitution, and so on. Nothing's being done about that. Nothing's even being said about that. In fact, our only president ever has contributed to it by invading Libya and handing it over to Al-Qaeda. So there's no consistency here. If it was a principled view, and you're really just about fighting police abuse, and you really did believe in systemic racism and you're trying to fight it, then it would be principled across the board, and yet it isn't. And they're not talking about solutions like getting rid of asset forfeiture, getting rid of qualitative immunity, getting rid of red flag laws, no-knock raids, things that you really could do to reform the police and reduce police abuse. Nah, it's just defund the police. And I'm like, hell, there's a lot of things between police abuse and no cops at all, right? I just listed 5 things you could do that never get brought up, because what the reality is not about police abuse. That's just a theme. And there was no evidence provided that George Floyd was racially motivated. It's just some asshole cop. He shot a Native American guy before that too, and he pistol whipped on some white teenagers. The dude was just a jerk.
The guy's an asshole. Nobody talks about that. And when they put it in the flyer,
it's like you can't blame that on the whites or whatever. Like, how about blame it on Derek Chauvin? There's a black cop and an Asian cop with him during their arrest.
Yeah, nobody says anything about that. And that cop is most likely, I saw him at the store. Like, they had a video of somebody interviewing him. He's walking with another very manicured other guy. I'm like, we're talking very trim. Everything's on point.
And Floyd was into porn, and they'd known each other for 17 years, so something else was going on there. The media didn't care, because you saw before that they had the incident in Georgia. And then after that, there was the Karen in New York that yelled at the birdwatch or whatever. With all the other news stories going on, that's what they chose to focus on all day long. The left was saying, we have to get another Ferguson, another Baltimore, another LA riots going. We're going to agitate the black community and tell them there's systemic racism everywhere. There's a Klan hood around every corner. There's a noose in every garage. They're coming to throw bleach on you and wear MAGA hats, whatever. You know, like, it's so stupid. Like, the United States is, I think, the least racist country in the world. It has the highest number of black millionaires, the highest number of black billionaires as well. The statistics just don't back it up. There is racism everywhere, anywhere. There's going to be some racism, but it's stamped out as much as you possibly could. And there is not systemic racism. We don't have laws favoring whites. In fact, we have the exact opposite. So the only systemic racism we have are things like affirmative action and holding different categories to different standards for college admission and things like that, which is wrongly applied to East Asians, whites, etc. on down the line. That's unfair.
We just talked about that. See, I'm half Armenian, and that's part of Asia, which makes me part Asian. So I know my people definitely get, the short end of the stick by Harvard. Johnny,
where's the recognition of the Armenian genocide?
That's what I say all the time.
It's something like contested. It's like, what's to contest? It happened.
Well, because Israel doesn't want to recognize it, because Israel is founded by Khazarians, and Khazarians are at the farthest back is Turkish. Johnny, what do you want to say?
And they also have to be number one atrocity, because victimhood is currency in the United States.
I was going to say, not only are they not talking about the real issues that they could solve, but they're castigating repeatedly one of the men who is attempting to solve them. That's Rand Paul, who's proposed legislation to roll back civil asset forfeiture and no-knock warrants, which are, unconstitutional, of course. And they love, it's a hobby of the media to just destroy him, even when his neighbor, really, really hurt him. And they just kind of made fun of him for that.
Yeah, they're like, you got attacked. So, Ray, I want to get into why I wanted to talk to you about this, because it is such an, yesterday I felt was a giant bomb hit again. Hopefully is the arrest of Ghislaine. How do you pronounce her name, Johnny?
Ghislaine, that's according to Vanity Fair.
Is it Ghislaine?
Ghislaine, but we call her Ghislaine because it's funny.
Ghislaine Maxwell. And the fact that she was just hiding in a very crazy place called the Mansion in New Hampshire. What are your thoughts on all that?
I said where she was on the Sean Atwood show about 2 months ago. Told everyone she's still in the U.S. She's right there. I I had copies of her taxes for her Tamar charity and everything. I said, she's not going anywhere. Everyone thought she was in Israel. I said, they don't want her. They're going to act like they'd never seen her before. It was too obvious for her to go to France to live with her relatives. It was too obvious. Like, she had to be in the U.S. That's where her sugar daddy's work is. Her mega donors, the Wexners, all that, they're all American and Canadian, so she's going to be. And she's living in a, multi-million-dollar plus house in New Hampshire. She's only a stone's throw away from the people who are supposed to be investigating her. Now, I think that they've known where she's been for a while, and they'll make a case against not only her, but the people above her, because she's 100% going to squeal. That pampered little...
I'm glad she's going to squeal.
No, but you were saying...
You know what is going to plead within days.
Mm-hmm. They said she's already willing to talk. Like, what do you get?
She's in Marymount County Jail right now. I love it. They're thinking about transferring her to New York. I don't like that idea.
She should be recorded right now. Like we should.
No, they should get the best Navy SEALs in the world and surround her.
Yep.
Surround her. Like Trump, it's like, I know everybody, like, I'm sure you hate Trump. I get it. I get why everybody hates it. But this seems to be something. Am I wrong? Is Trump part of this all, too? And
faction. And it's like I've explained before, it's kind of like rival drug cartels. And I love it when they fight with each other. Like Trump's more in league with the Kushner and the Wilf and BB camp. And they do their own honey traps and all the... they're no angels either.
But is it pedophilia like this?
No, they're into women of age. As far as all my research, I have not found.
Ray did it. Thank you, Ray. I appreciate it.
So at least we're like, well, at least it's only prostitutes, Whereas with Epstein, you're talking about kidnapping and rape. So of girls as young as 12.
And how many of them come back?
Cartel, I'm gonna go like there is a difference between a Zetas and Sinolos, like there are degrees, and Trump's gang is not as bad as Epstein's. So
thank you, dude.
Hey, sorry to cut that short. You can catch that on Sam Tripoli's Subscribe Star. I'd rather you go there. Don't use Patreon. By the way, if you were one of my former Patreons, I'm now a Patreon refugee, do a credit card dispute. Just call the back of the number on your credit card and say, I was charged for Patreon, but they deleted the content creator, so I don't want to pay. A lot of people have done that already, and they've been getting their money back, which is why should get your money back from Patreon. They tried to charge you because one day in July, it was available. Do it. ANCreport.com also has the full podcast up as well, and it will be on YouTube. So if you don't want to pay, it'll be on brand new YouTube shortly. Let's see what any Shekel chats. There were 2. All right. Ryan, did you check? Oh, sorry. First from Kev's House, 15. I just hit up David Cole with $100 for the Hutton Gibson movie. He just did his podcast in ages. Was lovely to see his little face on form too. Hey, let him know you found him through me. The more influence I have, the better. I'm trying to get on Talkie Magazine. David keeps promising stuff and then fades away. I know he's a busy guy. Plez for 3 says, Ryan, did you check out the released transcript of the Floyd arrest? I have not. Wow, what's it say? I'd like to know. I can kind of guess, but cut out a piece in the middle that fits the narrative and ignore everything else. It's outrage culture. This popsicle is pretty awesome. Lemon skosh. It's the popsicle variety of that canned good I had yesterday. Let's see here. I think I have the wrapper. Hold on. Yeah, this. right here. Really good. I'm hitting Andrew up for our Syria talk today. We had Japanese holiday on the 7th. I couldn't get help today. I don't know what's going on. And then we got E. Michael Jones and then Uncle Fred and Scott Horton all back to back. So, yeah, I know Floyd was saying he can't breathe long before he hit the ground. Let me explain choke 101 to you guys. Two kinds of chokes, air chokes and blood chokes. If you are choking someone's air, they cannot say, I can't breathe, because you can't talk unless you can breathe. The same air that you use to make words with is air you use to breathe with. And they probably mean I can barely breathe or something, but if you're yelling I can't breathe, that means you clearly can breathe. You definitely can't yell unless you can breathe well. Now, if you're cut off, someone's knee sitting on you long enough, or the sides of your neck are getting choked out, you can still breathe, but you'll pass out anyway. But when that happens, you don't really know. It just sort of happens. Suddenly you're fine, and then boom, out. Ask judo, jiu-jitsu, kind of grappling arts. Blood chokes, you're just fine 1 second and unconscious the next. Sometimes people don't tap from those. That's why there's a referee. You get like a standing guillotine on somebody, they're just going to drop before they can get their hand up. So what he had was a weird combination of being on a lot of drugs and having someone's knee on him for 8 minutes. But whatever, George Floyd wasn't about race relations. It was about Derek Chauvin and George Floyd. And the other 3 cops sitting there, there's no justifying what happened. But what the media did and what the Marxists did is they took it as an opportunity to blame it on Whitey, because that's who they already hate, and an opportunity to go and steal stuff. As I was saying on the show, Black Lives Matter to Black Lives Matter. They don't care about black lives, especially in Africa. They don't care about black on black crime. We just had a little 8-year-old girl shot in Atlanta. Not by police. By lack of police, you could argue. They don't care. You can go on the website, you can tell Antifa wrote it, because it's all this transgender, this and that, and cis, this and that, and all those categories you can imagine. It's a for school on steroids. But it has nothing to do with blacks. By the way, Patreon, it's mine. We have been accused of religious bigotry. I asked for example, they couldn't find any other social media site that links to Patreon that you've been on, and they accused me of racial slurs and stereotypes of the black community. I said, where's the example of that? They couldn't find any. Then they said pornography, child porn, reality, etc. I'm like, definitely didn't do any of that either. Where's the example of that? Still haven't gotten back to me. So they've thrown out 3 different reasons for banning. Can't find an example of any of those things because I haven't done any of those things. And I know it wasn't from social media either. I haven't been on Facebook or Twitter either. I've been banned on both of those. So I don't know. And those are the only ones linked to Patreon and YouTube. I certainly haven't had bestiality or pornography or child porn or racial slur, any of that on YouTube either. Definitely get your money back. They're not going to refund you. You can ask them, and I'm sending out a letter today and tonight. I'm still sending out emails of what to do and how to them and stuff and what to say. But the first thing you need to do is just go to call your credit card company and cancel that and get on. Do not pay Patreon. The quicker you do it, the faster, the easier it is for you to dispute. Zinkow says, I told him you would be the perfect co-host and that I caught him on your show last week. Oh, you're talking about before, let's see. Oh, David Cole. Yeah, he should come on and talk about his Taki articles on my show, like the video form, and a lot more people would read his articles and he'd make some shekels. I tried to give him on that idea. David Cole. PM says, maybe you already went over it, but what's this I heard about files regarding Epstein's associates being destroyed? Is this so unsurprising but unfortunate? Yeah, Alan Dershowitz pressured the judge, who's compromised herself, into ordering that Virginia Giuffre destroy many of the files they have, the evidence they have on these goobers, because they're claiming they acquired them in some illegal manner, whatever. I've never heard of a judge ordering evidence to be destroyed. You can say it's inadmissible or whatever, but you don't destroy it. They're saying to destroy the evidence before the trial. I hope they ignore that. Like, nope, unconstitutional, not happening. Del Frickin' Tree just says, shit. Kev's Inkhouse says 846 on the neck, 846 hit 9/11, just saying. Yeah, whatever. I mean, there are a whole bunch of times for 9/11 because you got 4 different planes, and then you have the times of the collapses and so on, so whatever. It's, some things are coincidence. There are a limited amount of numbers. It rolls over at 12, so it's got to be 1 through 12. But that is something, to the minute and to the second. But you could argue about the seconds, on how many seconds it was, depending on when you start counting. Well, we'll have more Glenn, Ghislaine updates. I'm really waiting for her to appear on Friday. That's going to be glorious. Hopefully they'll put that on television. And I hope those documents they ordered destroyed end up leaked all over the internet. Because they should not destroy these. They can't. They can't do it. It's too important to the world. We know that Zio pressure is behind this. You and I know that. I don't think the people watching the Netflix documentary ever understood the Israeli hand. They don't understand what Wexner's part of. The mega donor group exists for the sake of Israel. And you can look at that in the case of Jonathan Pollard, where intercepted Israeli cables asked if they should turn to Mega. Mega being the moles. And guess who represented Jonathan Pollard? Alan Dershowitz. I kept my underwear on. I couldn't narrate who it was. Massages happening in other places of the house. He admits going there and getting massaged, but he says it was a girl of age and that he had his underwear on. Because he knows that these girls can identify marks on his body and so on. So he's going to claim, oh yeah, I did, but they were of age and I had my underwear on. Gross. We did finally get some photos of Ghislaine with her little belly chain in handcuffs. We're going to have a lot more on Friday. No, Israel does not hate Soros. That's an Alex Jonesism saying, oh, Soros is an atheist. Soros is a Zionist. But there's an over-focus on George Soros. George Soros is a little peon compared to Les Wexner and Steven Spielberg and the Bronfmans. I mean, Wexner's deeply tied to organized crime. Oh, I have this thing. I'm not using it right now. Deeply tied. Squish. Go over to my website and join today, please. I'm gonna link you to where you can go listen to the rest of Sam and I, but not just Sam, Sam's and his crew and myself talking about this subject. And then don't forget, there's a 2.5 hour interview I did on Red Ice that is on brand new tube. Here is the link, and I will put it as the top comment. Voila. Have a good one.
Nice car.
Should we
Israel.
Wait, nah, that's stealing. Come on, I'll ask for permission later.
Looks more like you're asking for trouble now.
Tracks. I figured I wouldn't get caught.
That still wouldn't make it right. Think how you'd feel if someone
Israel.
your car.
Pretty lousy.
And if you got caught,
You could end up in jail.
remember,
Israel.
something that isn't yours just isn't right.
It's stealing. Now I know.
And knowing is half the battle. The Transformer.
Hey,
Don't Israel.
my ego.
Don't Israel.
My ego, Jessica.
Light